Bitcoin is the winner. It's the orange dwarf. It's got the network effect, and it is the most powerful global capital asset and global property asset. But Bitcoin is already the winner. It's reached escape velocity. And if the US government begins to acquire it aggressively, not only are they a beneficiary, but they will force every other country on earth to adopt Bitcoin as the global capital. There's 4 different metaphors for Bitcoin. There's digital capital, there's digital property. The third important metaphor is it's a digital energy network. And the AI economy is going to be built on digital energy by moving energy, money at the speed of light, at the speed of a computer. It's a $100 trillion economy. There is one digital energy network. If you own it, if you control it, you control and participate in that $100 trillion economy. If you don't, you're locked out of the economy. The AIs are going to think 1,000,000 times a second, and they're going to want to trade 1,000,000 times a second with each other. You can't do it without a digital monetary network.
Michael Saylor is now the most outspoken and powerful supporter of Bitcoin after more than 10 years of unwavering commitment. He's not only talking about Bitcoin as the executive chairman of MicroStrategy, he's investing billions of dollars in it. Saylor thinks that Bitcoin is the cornerstone of a new monetary system, not just the money of the future. According to him, digital energy is the most valuable resource in a world where debt and inflation are roiling. Saylor is steadfast in her resolve, while others argue over crypto stories. Bitcoin is more than an additional asset on the list. It is the list, and the opportunity for catching up is rapidly closing, he says. Bitcoin was selected by the market. It's superior mathematically, not because it's trendy. For Saylor, everything else is just noise. If you're intrigued by bold predictions and deep financial insights, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more engaging content. Thank you for your support and enjoy the video.
I think the most important thing said in this industry in 4 years was said Friday night, and I think it missed a lot of people's attention. I don't think people really realize what happened. David Sachs, the crypto czar, went on the All In podcast. And on the All In podcast, he said unequivocally that the US government only recognizes one crypto asset as being decentralized. So what Sachs said was Bitcoin is a decentralized asset, a store of value. That's why it's in the strategic Bitcoin reserve. It's the only one. And so what you had was a member of cabinet responsible for digital assets policy, in essence, providing very clear guidance that Bitcoin is a digital commodity, an asset without an issuer. And that's the policy of the United States and the president of the United States. And of course, the president directed that should come to his desk by August. He said, I want to see it by August. He's actually said, in the first executive order, he said within 6 months, so by late July. But I think there's only one universally acknowledged digital commodity in the world, right? There's only one. There's Bitcoin. I've said that, right? There is no second best. I've implied that and said that, and I've spent $33 billion based on that. So yeah, it was my view 4.5 years ago. There's one digital commodity. But Christine, there's a more important point here. Even if there was a second, third, and fourth, like let's take the fork wars, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. Even if you fork Bitcoin and you maintain that's a commodity, they're all going to zero if the use case is store of value or cap or money, right? Because if you were to fork Bitcoin and claim it's decentralized, the free market is going to pick the strongest network and it's going to be monetized and everything else is going to zero. So it doesn't matter from a practical point of view. My position is not that you couldn't theoretically create another digital commodity. And the companies in the United States, like my company, they're capitalizing on Bitcoin. They're going to be worth $20 to $40 trillion just on their Bitcoin assets if they continue to capitalize. So understood as digital capital, Bitcoin is enriching the corporations and the government itself, depending upon how much Bitcoin those entities own. That's the first metaphor. The second metaphor is Bitcoin is digital property. If you think of it as gold or cheese, nobody rents their cheese or mortgages their cheese. But when you think of it as owning 100 acres in Manhattan, if your family owned 100 acres of Manhattan 100 years ago and you owned it this year, and I asked you, what's your family doing with it? How are you going to pay your bills? You wouldn't say, well, we're going to sell our property in Manhattan. You would say, we're going to rent it, we're going to develop a building on it, or we're going to borrow against it. We're going to finance it. And so you would generate billions and billions of dollars off of 100 acres of real estate in Manhattan without ever selling it. It's property. And, and so Bitcoin as property means you will be able to rent it, finance it, or build businesses on top of it in the cyber economy. That would be worth $10 trillion to the United States in 2045 each year, right? We could generate $10 trillion off of the digital property that the United States buys in the strategic
to pay off
Bitcoin
the
reserve.
national debt?
Well, you wouldn't be a national debt. You would basically flip from being a net debtor to a net creditor, and you would generate yield. And so that's a very powerful idea. Just like, the company that owns $100 billion worth of real estate generates billions and billions of dollars of rental income a year. Or if I have $100 billion of capital, I can generate $5 billion a year just loaning the capital out.
According to Michael Saylor, having Bitcoin is like owning expensive real estate in Manhattan, which you can rent, build on, and borrow against rather than sell. He thinks that by treating Bitcoin as digital property, not by selling it, but by incorporating it into the financial system and using it, the United States might produce trillions of dollars annually. That's how a nation may go from being heavily indebted to becoming very wealthy. Saylor claims that every attempt to replicate Bitcoin has failed, and this isn't a coincidence. Bitcoin is the only genuine digital asset with enduring value because of its decentralized structure, unparalleled security, and extensive network impact. Demand, trust, and money are already tied into the Bitcoin ecosystem, even if other nations attempt to introduce their own versions. To remain up to date on the most recent developments in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and the digital economy, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications.
But Bitcoin is already the winner. It's reached escape velocity. And if the US government begins to acquire it aggressively, not only are they a beneficiary, but they will force every other country on earth to adopt Bitcoin as the global capital. There's 4 different metaphors for Bitcoin. There's digital capital, there's digital property. The third important metaphor is it's a digital energy network. And the AI economy is going to be built on digital energy by moving energy, money at the speed of light, at the speed of a computer. It's a $100 trillion economy. There is one digital energy network. If you own it, if you control it, you control and participate in that $100 trillion economy. If you don't, you're locked out of the economy. The AIs are going to think 1,000,000 times a second, and they're going to want to trade 1,000,000 times a second with each other. You can't do it without a digital monetary network, and that'll be built on Bitcoin as a settlement network. So the entire future of the banking system and the digital commerce system and the AI economy, it's all going to be based upon digital money, digital energy, digital capital. And so that's important. And then the fourth metaphor is it's a digital defense system, because the measure of power in cyberspace is the exahash. If you want to create a system that can't be corrupted, censored, tampered with, or hacked by an AI or by another computer, you need raw power combined with the power of cryptography, a wall of digital energy or encrypted energy. And so if I wanted to send $10 billion into a war zone, the only way to do it is with Bitcoin. If I want to lock down a cyber system against cyber attack, where I want to authenticate it and make it tamper-proof, what you want is public-private key cryptography embedded into the Bitcoin blockchain, backed by 20 gigawatts of electricity, 850 exahash. No one can crack that, right? And we have a situation today where Satoshi could prove to you in 1 second that they are in possession of $80 billion worth of capital by simply signing a message with their private key. That has profound cybersecurity implications for the country. So when you put them all together, right, digital capital, digital property, digital, energy, and digital defense, what you can see is that you either going to own cyberspace, and owning cyberspace is owning the asset and controlling the network, controlling cyberspace, or your enemy does. And if you lose control of your airspace, you get bombed back to the Stone Age in 1 week. You lose the country. If you lose control of the sea lanes, you lose the country. If you lose control of cyberspace, not only can you not send money between New York and Tokyo, you can't send money between New York and Chicago. You can't even send money between your computer and the computer in the same room next to you in a secure fashion. So in this case, the reason this is important to U.S. digital supremacy is the future economy is digital intelligence, and it's going to need to move digital energy protected by digital power in order to engage in digital commerce. And Bitcoin is that digital energy network, and that's why it's in the best interest of the U.S. to own it.
Bitcoin is much more than just a store of value, as Michael Saylor clear illustrates in his analysis of its future potential. Digital money, digital property, digital energy, and digital defense are the four main metaphors he employs to describe it. Simply put, Saylor thinks that Bitcoin is the cornerstone of a brand new digital economy powered by automation, secure communication, and artificial intelligence. According to Saylor, Bitcoin will serve as the foundation for such system. For what reason? Because Bitcoin makes value transfer as quick, safe, and worldwide as information. In a world where machines make decisions, he contends that Bitcoin serves as a digital shield that guards against cyberattacks and upholds trust. He claims that you own a piece of the digital future if you own Bitcoin. Otherwise, you run the risk of falling behind. Saylor cautions that other nations will take over and assert their dominance in this trillion-dollar AI-driven economy if the U.S. does not adopt Bitcoin right away by taxing miners excessively or excluding the sector from the banking system. He attributes a large number of the cryptocurrency industry's previous setbacks to lax regulation, which sent innovation abroad and into the hands of unregulated firms. Saylor believes the industry could grow 100-fold, creating enormous opportunity while reducing risk for investors. In his view, this isn't just about technology, it's about national security, economic dominance, and future-proofing the digital world. Either we lead or we fall behind. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications if you thought his viewpoint was helpful so you don't miss any updates. We'd love to know what you think about the future of cryptocurrency markets, so please share your ideas in the comments section. We appreciate your time and hope to see you in the next video.